Hello M2 students, this is teacher Win and this will be our second to the last lesson. It's all about the reproductive system. So for this video, you are going to learn about the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. So here's one basic question for you M2. Why do we need to reproduce? So the main reason is to ensure survival of the species. And how do we ensure the survival of the species? So number one, that is to produce the egg and the sperm cells. Number two, to transport and sustain these cells. These are your egg and sperm cells. To nurture the developing offspring. Offspring meaning like the baby or the children. And number four, and to produce hormones. So all of these processes, starting from the egg and sperm cell production, the transportation of these cells, nurturing or like taking care of this developing offspring and producing hormones. So we are going to talk this lesson in this video. Before we start our lesson M2, please be reminded that this video is made for you to know about the male reproductive system and female reproductive system. So the first part of the male reproductive system is your testes. Singular word is testis, or you can call it testicles, or the balls, or also like gonads. So the testes or the gonads, so they are responsible in making or producing the sperm. So speaking of sperm, so the testicles or the testes can make like several millions of sperm every day, and the production of the sperm depends on the temperature of the body. So testes is always lower or has a lower temperature of like 35 degrees Celsius. So once the sperm cells are made in your testes, so they are moved to your epididymis, and your vas deferens. Vas deferens. So in there, in your epididymis, so that is where your sperm grows and shall we say mature, and usually they stay for like 2 months there. So if nothing happens, if the male does not ejaculate, so your body will just reabsorb without harming the male's body. However, if your male ejaculates is something like the white fluid that comes out from the male's penis. So when that happens, when the boys ejaculate, so these sperm cells, so they will move into your vas deferens. Okay, so your vas deferens is used for transportation of your mature sperm to your urethra. So your urethra, so this is your urethra, so this is where your sperm will swim, going to this tube, going to the urethra here. Okay, the next part is your seminal vesicles. So your seminal vesicles, so they are like attached or connected to your vas deferens. So it produces a sugar-rich fluid that provides energy to your sperm. And also this fluid is alkaline, so it protects the sperm from being damaged when it goes to the vagina of the female, because vagina is very acidic, so the sperm should be protected from acidity of the female's vagina. aside from your seminal vesicles that is making fluid, so your prostate gland also makes fluid and additional protection for your sperm cells or your sperm against the acidity of the vagina. So the next part is your urethra. So it carries urine and also your sperm out of the body. So your urethra is acidic in nature. That is to protect the boys from infection. Also in your urethra, so it cannot do two functions at the same time. So it can only be like urine first or it can be sperm first. So when the boys ejaculate, so the sperm will pass through the urethra. Or if the boys want to pee, so he needs to go to the toilet, so your urethra is a passage for urine to come out from the boy's body. This is your sperm cell under the microscope. So it has three parts. You have your head, your midpiece, and your tail. So your head is responsible for come in contact with the egg cell or getting into the egg cell, and that is where also your DNA or genetic material is located. And also we have your mid piece. So your mid piece is like it provides the energy for your sperm cell to move, and then your tail is like the flippers for it is used for swimming towards the egg cell. Okay, so before we go to the female reproductive system, so here's like a journey of your sperm. So as you all know, so the journey begins at the testis, and then it stays there. The sperm cells stay there in your epididymis. So when the boys ejaculate, so it will just move going up to your vas deferens, and then your seminal vesicle will make fluid to protect your sperm. Also your prostate gland also it will make also another fluid for extra protection. And then when the boys ejaculate, so your sperm will pass through your urethra and then go into the outside world. So speaking of sperm, so the boys ejaculate about like 3 to 5 ml of your semen, semen, that is the white fluid that comes out from ejaculation, and normally it contains like hundreds of millions of sperm cells when the boys ejaculate at the time. Okay, so let's go now to your reproductive system of the female. So we have like basic parts. You have your ovary, your uterus, your fallopian tube, your cervix, and then your vagina. So the first structure for female reproductive system is your vagina. So your vagina is a canal that joins the cervix. This is your cervix or the neck of the female reproductive system. So it receives the penis during sex, or your vagina serves as the birth canal. So that is where your baby comes out during delivery after 9 months of pregnancy. Also in your vagina, that is where your blood, also the menstruation or the menstrual blood or the mens or the monthly period, so that is where your blood will come out. And vagina is a muscle, so meaning it can stretch. Okay, so normal size is like 1 inch, but during sexual intercourse or during sex, so it can stretch for up to like 5 to 6 inches because vagina is a muscle. Next is we have your uterus. Uterus, so it is a hollow organ that is the home to a developing fetus. So your uterus, so it may look very small, but actually it can grow into a bigger size that is enough to accommodate the growing fetus. So this uterus here, so it is like the home for the fetus to grow for at least 9 months. Next is your ovary. Plural is ovaries. So it is where your egg cells or your eggs and hormones such as your estrogen are produced. So also ovaries is like an oval shaped glands that are located on either side of the uterus. So this is like the left side or right side. It depends on where you are looking at. So your ovaries, so each ovary holds like hundreds of thousands of your egg cells, immature egg cells. So shall we say this one has 100,000, also this one has also 100,000. But each month, the female will release only one egg, but it can be on the right side or it can also be from the left side. So there's no way for your body to know or for you to know at which part of or which side of the ovary will release the egg cell. So that's the reason for the male parts, they make like millions of sperm cells so that when this like hunting or finding the egg cells, so at least enough amount of sperm cells are ensure to find this egg cell because there's only like one egg cell every month that is produced by the female's body. So next we have your fallopian tubes. So your fallopian tubes, so it is like a tunnel or a canal used for the egg cell to travel from your ovaries to the uterus. And this is where your fertilization happens. So fertilization, it's the union or the meeting of your egg cell and your sperm cell. So normally, so your egg cell will stay around here. So your sperm, so the sperm from the boys during sexual sex, so the sperm will travel from your vagina to the cervix, going to the uterus, wherein the sperm can go to this side of the fallopian tube or to this side of the fallopian tube. So if the egg cell is here, so the sperm, so those sperm that can go here, so it will meet the egg cell here, and that is where your fertilization happen. Okay, so the journey of your egg cell, so it always begins with your ovary. So every month, the female will release one egg cell. It can be from right ovary or left ovary. And once the ovary releases the egg cell, so the egg cell has only 1 day to survive. And after that 1 day, so your body will simply absorb it. So from the ovary, it will go to the fallopian tube. So if there is like sex and the egg cell and the sperm cell meet, so there is fertilization. So when there is fertilization, so your zygote, we call it zygote, so it will move from your fallopian tube and go into your uterus, and your zygote is implanted here. Implanted meaning that is where your zygote will grow into a baby. So shall we say after 9 months, so the baby will is ready now to come out. So from your uterus, it will go to your cervix, then into your vagina, and the baby successfully comes out from the mother. Okay, so I will be talking about short version of fertilization. That is a male cell plus the female cell combined to produce the magic of life. Now let's talk about fertilization. So you only need two recipes or two magic formulas. So one is your egg cell and one also is your sperm cell. So speaking of your egg cell, you know already that females release one egg cell every month, and the release of your egg cell is what you call ovulation. It's ovulation. So that's ovulation. So it happens um, every 14th day, 1/4, every 14th day of the month. And ovulation normally starts when a female hits puberty. Puberty is around 12 years old or 13 years old. And in your sperm cell, so using the head of the sperm cell, so it will try to get inside into the walls of your egg cells. So looking at the picture, so there are like 5 egg cells, sperm cells here, trying to get inside into the egg cell in order to have your fertilization, because when your egg cell and your sperm cell combine, so they will become a baby in the future. So this is what I talk about fertilization. So it's like the union of your egg and sperm at the fallopian tube. And when fertilization happens, so that egg cell or fertilized egg cell is called as your zygote. So this zygote will move into your uterus of the female's body, so where it implants and grows into a baby for 9 months. So as the baby is growing, so as the zygote is growing, so there are several parts that's protecting the baby or to ensure that the baby will grow healthy. So number one is your amnion. So your amnion, so it's a transparent sac that protects the baby, and inside the amnion, so there's an amniotic fluid. So this is the reason why the baby keeps floating. So sometimes the head is moving here, going to this side, or this side, or this side. So it's like swimming inside the womb of the mother. And don't you worry, the baby will not die from this liquid. The baby will not be drowned because you have other parts that help the baby to survive inside this amnion. So let's try to look at the different parts that help the baby to survive. So this is the another part that helps the baby to survive. This is what you call your umbilical cord. So your umbilical cord allows the nutrients, the oxygen, the water coming from the mother to go into the baby, and then any waste products that is made from the baby, so they are going back to the umbilical cord. Another part that helps the baby to survive is your placenta. So your placenta is attached to the womb or to the uterus of the mother, and this is where also your umbilical cord is connected. So for the next part of the video, so you will be watching a short animation about fertilization and animation of the growing baby inside the mother's womb.